Hi everyone, my name's Edith. I'm a wife, I'm a mum, and I'm a housing professional who has helped dozens of first-time buyers move into their homes. I've seen how confusing shared ownership can be, and I wanted to change that. This video is very close to my heart because it's me explaining my why I started helping first-time buyers through shared ownership. So let's get to it. Hopefully, when I feel more confident to be in front of the camera, I'll try that. But for now, enjoy my voice. Enjoy it very well. I started to notice something over the years. I started to notice that I had customers who, obviously, they start off excited, they're hopeful. In some ways as well, they're a bit confused, as to what's happening, whether this is real. And the reality with shared ownership is that it promises a foot on the ladder. But I also noticed that buyers, what they got back in return were delays and a lot of big grammar and big words and just certain costs that they were not prepared for creeping in. So I decided to create something different, something that actually helped. I'm someone that loves helping in general anyway, but to see someone or to be a part of a journey of a customer, a journey like no other, in the sense it's where you're gonna call home. It's very special to me to see the joy in their faces. And I worked behind the scenes helping first-time buyers move into their homes. I've seen reservation forms come through. I've watched buyers wait months for keys. Yes, I have. I've answered panic calls over service charges. I've worked with customers where the interest rate started off at 3%, and then because of the extension of the mortgage offer and the whole situation with the economy, it doubled, and they had to make a very hard decision, and I had to be there. I had to, be there as a source of comfort as well and a source of reasoning. And more than anything, I've heard the same questions over and over again, not because buyers weren't smart, but because no one explained things in plain English. Also because buyers are too excited, so they are just not reading. They're not reading anything that is coming their way. I remember the moment that stuck with me. I had a lovely couple who just reserved their home, and I sent over their timeline and next steps, and along the way, the buyer asked me, "Sorry, Edith, what does exchange actually mean?" I was like, huh? That's when it hit me. We're expecting people to make the biggest purchase of their lives, and no one is explaining the basics. Another buyer actually told me they thought they could decorate freely until I told them, "You've got to check your lease." One buyer didn't even know they'd be paying full service charges even though they only owned 25%. You don't just pay only the 25% share of the service charges, unfortunately. And some thought they could rent the home out later. They couldn't. I mean, there are exceptions, but generally speaking, you're not supposed to. It's meant to be your main residential home. Then I had customers who thought they could staircase easily, but didn't realize how much it would cost, and never sort of factored that in, thought it was something they could look to towards the future. See, shared ownership isn't bad, but it's not simple either. We see and we know it's painted as affordable, and for many it's the only way in. You hear a lot of, is shared ownership a scam? Yes, I understand. It's a very nice clickbait to have. But if you don't have any other way in, this is definitely a way to consider. However, when you're buying a shared ownership home, you're not just buying a slice of a flat, contrary to popular belief. You're entering a complex legal agreement with terms that many first-time buyers don't fully understand. I've seen buyers confused about leases, charges, completion dates, repairs, staircasing, just quite a number of things. And I realized to a very large extent this confusion wasn't their fault. The system didn't make space for real questions, for questions that may come across as they think it's a silly question or a question that they should know already. But how would you know? Who would tell you? Solicitors rushed, agents moved fast, buyers were told to trust the process. But when that process breaks down, it's the buyer who pays, So what I did is that I started writing things down. The key questions buyers kept asking, the mistakes I saw were repeated, and I began building something I wish every first-time buyer had. It's a simple, clear, step-by-step guide. No overwhelm, just honest help. And I called it the Shared Ownership Toolkit. It breaks down what the adverts don't. Things like what shared ownership really costs each month, rent, mortgage, service charge, the whole lot. What your lease actually says, and how long you're tied in, what exchange means, funnily enough. And also how to avoid delays getting there. The exact questions to ask your solicitor, housing provider, and your mortgage broker. What paperwork to expect and how to stay ahead of it. What happens after you move in, from repairs to rent increases. There's so much more. No fluff, just the real steps, the real risks, and how to get through it with confidence. It's what I wish every buyer had before they signed anything. So if you're buying your first home through shared ownership, you deserve to know what you're getting into. Not to scare you, certainly not, but to prepare you. Because the truth is, shared ownership works best when you understand it from day one. And when you do, you can buy with confidence. If you're ready to take that step, do it smart. Download the toolkit, ask better questions, and don't let confusion delay your dreams. Your home is waiting. Just make sure you get there fully informed.